Hey, and welcome back to Is Told by Aquarius, the podcast where I just don't understand the concept of underboob. I get from a male perspective, it is yummy. But from a person who has boobs, it makes absolutely no sense to me why people do it. Someone, please give me answers. It's Aquarius, your host, birthday January 25th, and the words of wisdom from the day read. Generally, you tend to be highly attuned spiritually, but today you might find yourself doubting the metaphysical concept you've exposed for years. This might upset you a little, as doubt brings up all your insecurities. Don't panic, however. We all have days in which we doubt. Find something that distracts you. By tomorrow, your faith should be restored. Leave your doubts in the past and look forward to a brighter future. Work-wise, can't fully relate to it. However, physically, I do have doubts. My body does certain things unbeknownst to myself, and I don't understand the rhymes or reasons why it chooses to do so. Which brings me to today's topic, which will be extremely TMI. Just forewarning you, I want to talk about being a lady and all the parts in which I have that just don't cooperate, specifically the vagina. However magical and monumental some people feel that it is, to me, it's not. It is not all that it's wrapped up to be. Sometimes I wish I can return it to the store, but unfortunately, I don't have the receipt to do so. But wait, Aquarius, what about giving birth and having children? You know what? That shit can suck it too. Anything on my body that just willfully causes me pain on a consistent basis for absolutely no wanting reason can suck it. I remember as a young child going through puberty and having boobs growing in, and they were painful, and I cried because it hurt. It was a pain that I have never felt before. Even getting a shot at the doctor was less painful than the boobs that were about to grow into my chest, and I cried so much. I asked my mom, could I give them back? Or could they go away? Because I didn't want them. Because they hurt so fucking bad. And of course she told me no. They're going to grow in. You're going to be okay. And I was okay up until I had a goddamn period. Now, nobody gives you in-depth details of what a period is going to do. They're going to be like, oh, it's going to hurt. No, it's painful, excruciating, aching pains. They recently did a study not too long ago and figured out that period pain can be the equivalent of having a friggin' heart attack. A freaking heart attack, dude. That means any person who was born biologically a woman, sometime starting from the age of 9, can feel consistent heart attacks for multiple days, for years of their life, up until their body just decides that it doesn't want to do that work anymore. Now, I know some of you right now are like, Aquarius, I didn't come here for a vagina rant. And you're right, you didn't. However, I feel like there are things that need to be said about the vagina that nobody talks about. They need to be said at least once out loud, and I need people to hear it. So not only do you have to deal with multiple heart attacks consistently for days, months, and years on end, your vagina on its period comes with features like feeling like you've been kicked in your lower back by a horse, vomiting, painkillers actually not killing the pain, numbness of the legs, being forced to crouch over into the fetal position, diarrhea, bloating, acne, your period lasting for more than a week, you being stressed and your period not showing up, your period just choosing to be irregular, headaches, nausea, cold sweats, hot flashes, and let's not forget the bonus add-on of fibroids, pelvic inflammatory disease, and unmentionable pain from endometriosis. Oh, and let's not forget about leakage, which is one of the things that I think we fear most of the time when you buy things, especially of quality, and you still leak through them onto your clothes. God, no, why? But Aquarius, they have remedies for most of the things that you mentioned. Yes, they do, but they do not work equally the same for everyone. However, I wish they did. Take birth control, for example. Not only do you have to go through trial and error of figuring out which specific birth control works well for you, that you make sure that you won't forget to either take and or reinsert every other week, You're ingesting multiple hormones that your body probably didn't need. I recently read something that shocked the shit out of me, and I never thought about when it came to birth control. And it mentioned that birth control's side effects, besides of just the physical ones, can be also mental. They can bring about anxiety, depression, enhance the mental illness that you may have or you may not know you have. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, because if you got your period at a young age and your mom just happened to put you on birth control immediately right after you got your period, just within the idea to calm the pain down, you've been ingesting that since let's say 9, 10, 11, and or 12, and may have developed anxiety, depression, and other unknown mental illnesses on behalf of birth control, which is something that's supposed to help you. Now, I personally have never been on any form of birth control because I always feared that I would gain an unnecessarily amount of weight and would not be able to either lose it and or control it. But just thinking about that friggin' sucks, because if you just happen to be a person who frequently has anxiety, depression, and may have other mental illnesses, your birth control can be the cause of it. And if you use your birth control to subdue your menstrual pains, it could be causing all types of other issues, and you would have never thought that one specific product has been doing that all along. Now, the vagina is a magical thing, and I'm using the word magical in a negative sense because you can be minding your business, living your best healthy life, eating all of your yogurts, taking all of your probiotics, drinking all of the smoothies, and you can make one simple little change and then poof, your vagina is broken. Or in the words of Issa Rae, broken pussy. Now, when I say broken vagina, I mean you probably have a yeast infection or bacterial vaginosis. But the kicker is you don't even have to do anything sexual to get either one of these things. Like, you can just be swimming in a pool. You can be wearing like really fitted jeans. You can be stressed. Your own period can trigger any one of these things happening to you. And you just be minding your business. Now, when I said TMI, that means I'm going to share a story about me. And I'm not ashamed of sharing the story because I ain't do shit wrong. I didn't. And like, it threw me for a loop. The doctors didn't have any answers. I had to do a fucking Dexter's Laboratory experiment to figure out what was my problem. So many moons ago, I decided not to have sex and not to do that for a whole 365 days. I also decided to have limited internet access as well. Choices. Now, in choosing to be celibate for a whole entire year, I chose not to touch myself in a sexual manner either. But then when I decided to have sex, I got a yeast infection. I honestly thought the person I had sex with gave me cooties, but that wasn't it. So I went to the doctor, got that fixed. And then I decided to have sex again. And I got another yeast infection. So I went to the doctor and got that fixed. Now, I have this logic, and I think it's honestly true, that if you take medication consistently, after a while, your body just gets used to it and it doesn't work. So with that logic, I take myself to the doctor with my third yeast infection with 80 million other questions as to like, why is this happening? I didn't have sex for a whole entire year and I had no yeast infections. And even before that, I didn't have yeast infections. So what specifically is causing this now? She don't know. She really ain't got no answers. But she has options that I can take. Hey, change your diet. Stress less. Eat more yogurt. Stop using scented soaps. I've been eating yogurt since before this is happening. That's not it. So after falling down the rabbit hole of Googling my life away and it telling me that my uterus might fall out of my ass, I stumbled upon a Reddit thread with women who are suffering from the same exact problem. Constant chronic yeast infections, but they have no foolproof solid solutions. So now I go into experimental mode. I'm thinking, well, maybe it might be the person you're having sex with. Their body juices may be causing your vagina to throw up. Luckily, they went on vacation for 2 weeks. So then I thought to myself, well, let's see if we masturbate, if I get a yeast infection. And sure enough, after I masturbated, I got a goddamn yeast infection. Again. So now I know it's not him. And I've been tested for all of the STDs 3 times because now I'm getting friggin' paranoid. So I sit down and I think to myself, the only thing that you've ever done different with this is just not have sex. Now, I've had moments of celibacy before, but they weren't for a whole entire year, especially without any sexual touching of my own. So now I'm like, well, maybe your body just isn't recognizing its own juices because it didn't have to produce them for a whole entire year. And I was 100% correct. Now I had to figure out, how can I have more of the sex? For example, I usually would have sex on a Tuesday. And if I had sex on Tuesday, by Friday, I would have a yeast infection. So in my mind, I have 2 days in between the time that my body produces all of the yeast to give me an infection. So maybe I can prolong the infection happening if I have sex in between those 2 days before the day it decides to show up. So I would have sex on a Tuesday, do nothing on Wednesday, masturbate on Thursday, nothing would show up on Friday, have actual sex again on Saturday. Now, by that next week, I would have a yeast infection on a Tuesday. But in my mind, since it didn't show up in the process of me masturbating and having sex, I was doing something here. Like, this was working. Like, it's working, man. So I proceeded to do that again, consistently for months. And at some point, my body decided to recognize its own juices, and I no longer had yeast infections. But I don't want you to think that I figured this out and solved this in a matter of 2 months. No, I had yeast infections for a whole entire year, because if I just forgot to masturbate, which I did frequently, because like that is not on a list of priorities or things in my life, I would get a yeast infection and then I would have to clear it up. But then I didn't want to take medication. So I was struggling. I was really out here in these streets struggling, man. Like, I like sex like everybody else who has it. But do you understand the time, the energy, and the work that you have to put in to force yourself to have sex consistently for a whole entire year so that your body does not regurgitate on itself? You don't. I know you don't. And I feel for any woman who has chronic, consistent yeast infections who have yet to find out a solution to fix their problem. I'm with you in solidarity. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about vaginas today. Yep, so that was my TMI story and vagina rant. Mind you, I probably only scratched the surface of this because I just only spoke about some of the things that I experienced, some of the things that my friends have experienced, and some of the things that I have read about. So please, if you are a human who does not have a vagina, be nice to the ones that do, because we honestly have no full control over our bodies, no matter how much we think we do. And with that said, go to the doctor, get your pap smear, get tested for STIs, STDs. Also, make sure you go to the doctor and get your yearly blood work, because I know a lot of people just don't do that. And you need to know what's in your blood so you can prevent things from happening. Oh, and also, like, if you decide to like not have sex for a whole entire year, please masturbate, because you don't want to end up like I did. Live long and prosper, y'all. Peace.